deputy will not be persecuted, his deputy will not be harassed. That, I think, the president, my boss, owes that to the people of Kenya to honor that promise so that Kenyans can trust him and he can win the trust of the people of Kenya, because this is something within his purview. He requires no funding, he requires no financing, he requires no urging. It's a commitment he gave. And he also gave it to me,
right,
with my wife and my children. When he asked me to be his running mate, I sat with him and my wife and my children, and we asked him, we have seen what you have gone through. If our father becomes your deputy, will he be taken through what you are taken through? And he gave us as a family a very firm commitment that that will never happen. I'm asking President William Ruto, my boss, please keep your promise to the people of Kenya. Stop those people who are abusing your deputy. Stop those ministers who are demeaning your deputy. Don't allow the criminal justice system to harass and intimidate your deputy the way you are intimidated. If you cannot keep the other promises to the people of Kenya, at least this one is a very simple promise. Be a good man, be a good Christian. Keep that promise, President William Ruto, because that is a commitment you gave to the people of Kenya, and you gave me that promise in front of my wife and children that you will never allow anybody to demean me, to disrespect me, to harass me, to persecute me, to intimidate me, to coerce me. That is a commitment that you gave. I ask you, Mr. President, keep that commitment.
Are you frustrated?
I'm not. I am, let me tell you, son, you don't know me. Many people don't understand Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua is a seasoned leader who has seen many ups and downs. I underwent hell in the last administration to support President William Ruto. Cases were fabricated against me for studying with President William Ruto. My wealth was confiscated for studying with William Ruto. But I'm a very, very, very principled man. I stood with him to the last man. I never expected this to happen. You know, my family is devastated. You know, that this can be happening to their father. A man who went out of his way to start with President William Ruto and make sure he is elected president, and took the flag for it. And I say, even if there is a jinx around this position, at least President William Ruto was allowed to do his work for 5 years without interruption, without harassment, for 5 years. I've only done 1 year. And what is happening to me is worse than what happened to President William Ruto. I asked President William Ruto, please allow me to work. Allow me to work for the remaining 3 years. Let me serve the people of Kenya.
Okay.
Let me serve the people of Kenya and keep your promise. Keep your promise, Mr. President, so that you can win the trust of the people of Kenya as an honest person, as a person who keeps his promise. What is happening is not right. It doesn't augur well, and it has, to a great extent, eroded the trust of the people of Kenya in your leadership. Please, Mr. President, I am here willing to work, to serve you with the dedication, to serve the people of Kenya, to support you the way I've always done, to undertake whatever responsibilities that you assign me. But let the insults in your presence stop. Let people not hold night meetings. Let this money that is being used for these meetings assist us to pay pending bills, Mr. President. People are suffering. Resources are being mobilized to do politics, to divide the people of Mount Kenya region, to fight the deputy president, when Kenyans are suffering, when we are collecting taxes from people and we are saying we don't have enough. How come millions of shillings are being mobilized across the country to fight your deputy president, to undermine his work, to divide the people of Mount Kenya region for political purposes? I think this is the lowest moment of our administration, but I am hopeful that this can be corrected and all of us can go back to work and the people of Kenya can be given an opportunity to enjoy the fruits of their vote to the president and I.
Right, and I'm sure the president will get your message. Now, what was your role in the formation of the broad-based government?
My role was very simple, agreeing to the proposal by the president. President William Ruto sat me down and told me that he had made a decision that he needed to bring in other people so that we stabilize government and we bring everybody and we make everybody feel part of Kenya, and I was agreeable. And I told the president, if that is the intention, and to make our country move forward, improve the lives of our people, I'm agreeable. And I accepted 100%, and I support the broad-based government. I support the decision by the president. I embrace the people who joined us, and I am working well with them, and will continue working with them. What causes confusion is many people asking me, how is it that the president called for broad-based government to bring in everybody so that we have one cohesive country, so that everybody is part of it, yet people are planning to remove others? How does it work?
Right.
That we have brought in ODM people to come and join us, yeah? And then we are saying, now that we have brought these ones, now we have the numbers to chase this one. Then the whole thing would not have been very genuine. If that is the case, it doesn't look then genuine, because I am told they are saying they didn't have the numbers to remove Gcahagua. Now that Raila Odinga has come on board, they can use his members of parliament to join and kick Gcahagua out. Then that would defeat the purpose of the broad-based government. But from what the president told me, and I believed him, is that we are bringing these people so that we have one country that is cohesive and we carry everybody along. And it made sense to me.
Do you still
and
believe
I'm still persuaded that is the way to go.
Okay.
But from what I am hearing from these characters, for the meetings that they hold, and they are people very close to the president, is that the purpose of the broad-based government was to get numbers so that they can get the numbers from ODM, join the ones from Kenya Kwanza to chase Gcahagua away. If that was the intention of the broad-based government, then that would have been the deception of the highest order. And I don't think people would ever forgive the president if that was the intention.
Deputy President,
and I don't think,
yeah.
from what he has explained to me, and I'm persuaded that he meant well for the country, and I'm in support of the whole thing. But if it turns out that the purpose of the broad-based government was to get numbers from ODM to join and put them together with UDA to impeach the deputy president, then the whole broad-based government would have been a deception. It would have been a con.
have you seen the formal agreement between the president and Raila Odinga?
No, I trust the president, and many times, and many people accuse me of being a bit reckless. I am a very trusting person, because when you are trusting, you trust others. The president gave me his word, and I was happy. And if there was any written agreement, I'm not aware of it. I took his word that we need to bring these people so that we work together to make our country move forward. By the way, Sam, so trusting is regarding Gcahagua and his people from the Mount Kenya region, that in the whole of this matrix, we are the only people without a written agreement with President William Ruto. We just agreed as gentlemen. I can tell you, when Musalia Mudavadi came to join President William Ruto, they have an MOU. With Moses Wetangula, they have an MOU. Jefferson Kingi, they have an MOU. Alfred Mutua, they have an MOU. Everybody wrote an MOU with President William Ruto. I and the people of the mountain, because we are very trusting people, we trusted President William Ruto, and we agreed to move in one party. We did not even form our own party to bargain with or to negotiate with him. We accepted him because we believed and trusted him. And we moved together on trust. And what we agreed is what we are proceeding on. So I have never asked the president for any written document or anything. I always take his word for it, because I'm trusting, so I also trust.
Do you regret that decision?
I don't regret the decision, but I have heard many of our supporters saying that it was an indiscretion on my part. I have not yet interrogated whether it was an indiscretion on my part or not. But many of our people, many of our supporters from the Mount Kenya region think that there was an indiscretion on my part. But I want to say I think I did the right thing, because trust is very important. And we gave President William our trust. We expect him to reciprocate that trust.
Okay.
And one of the ways for him to win our trust is to stop the humiliation of the Deputy President.
Okay. Deputy President, I think you've made that a point quite clearly. But tell me, even as you move ahead to now manage the broad-based government, you're out of the President's diary, you're not getting communication on the events he's holding. How then do you even coordinate the cabinet committees yourself? Have you chaired the committees since the reconstitution of the cabinet?
No, I have not. I chair cabinet committees, and we used to have 6 cabinet committees. We have collapsed them into 2. We had a cabinet meeting, I think, on Tuesday, and we agreed we have 2 committees, one on governance, one on production, and I'll be chairing those committees unless advised otherwise. And those committees have been very good, Sam, and part of the work that I've done for this country and for the President. I've held 35 cabinet committees since we were sworn in, and we have prosecuted.
You said how much? How many?
35.
35.
Cabinet committees, and we have prosecuted 333 agenda items. And what those cabinet committees do, they are very, very thorough and very, very interactive and very, very exhaustive, because we even invite PSs, we invite CEOs, we invite technical people, and we do interrogate business of cabinet in a very comprehensive manner, so that by the time we go to the cabinet that is chaired by the President, more or less most of the issues have been agreed on, and the President gives his thinking and he gives his direction, and sometimes he agrees, sometimes he doesn't agree with us, and give it to him. Where he doesn't agree with us, he convinces us and we get convinced. And the President, in my view, did very well to set up the cabinet committees, because the President should be a consumer of finance, because he's a very, very busy person. And the kind of work we do here in cabinet committees, sometimes 6 to 7 hours, will be a bit heavy for the President because of his duties.
What is the reason of
so we
collapsing?
continue,
Yeah.
and those cabinet committees have worked very well.
Okay.
And I am very, very, very clear that we'll continue to have the cabinet committees.
Right.
And we'll be able to look at the CAB memos that have come, and we'll be able to proceed to the cabinet for the final approval.
If they were that effective, were they being reduced from 6 to 2?
No, what happened is that there were 6, and then we were having issues of quorum. And sometimes one member would appear in 3, 4 committees. So it was becoming logistically a nightmare, that this committee is meeting, then you have to go, you have to come back. And I think we agreed in cabinet, and it's a good decision. We reduced them into 2, one to do with governance, it has 11 ministries, the other one to do with production, it has 11 ministries. And I think it will work very well. Okay. And we'll have the first cabinet committee, I think, next week, and we'll be able to process all the agendas that are before us so that we can proceed to the cabinet. You
promised the people, or rather, during the campaigns you used to say that when Raila Odinga came to the government, under the handshake arrangement with President Uhuru Kenyatta, that's when you lost the Jubilee government of second term. And you said you'd never allow Raila Odinga into your government. Now it appears he has quite a hand in it. Yeah. Is that a deal breaker for you?
Well, we had President Uhuru Kenyatta, our 4th president, brought Raila to government and asked us to support Raila Odinga, which we, the people from the Mount Kenya region, were very unhappy about. And we disagreed with President Uhuru Kenyatta, and President William Ruto persuaded us that Raila is the one who has caused problems in government. He persuaded us, and he's a very persuasive leader, and we were persuaded. President William Ruto persuaded us that if we allow Raila Odinga to become president, this country will not move forward. And as a result, we disagreed with President Uhuru Kenyatta and rejected Raila Odinga and gave our vote to President William Ruto. So when we came into office, it was my agreement with President William Ruto that we will not allow Raila into government. But along the way, my boss, President William Ruto, changed his mind. And he is a boss. And in this situation, Sam, we are not in a co-presidency. I'm just a principal assistant to the president. What he says is what carries the day, and I don't argue with him. I may have reservations, and I raise it with them. He persuades me many times. Other times he overrules me. And when I realized that he started having a relationship with Raila Odinga, I slowly gave way, because the boss is always right, you know. And that is why many people say, oh, Gcahagua